It's great when they.
I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Alton, New Hampshire School Board. It is Monday, April 10th, 5:35 p.m. First item on the agenda is reorganization of the board. So I am opening the meeting only for this purpose. Is there a nomination for board chair?
I nominate Pam McLeod for board chair.
Second.
Nomination by Mrs. Locke, seconded by Mrs. Pierce for Pam McLeod to serve as board chair. Any other nominations? Any discussion on the nomination? Hearing none, now voting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, Madam Chair.
Thank you. All right, we will open for nomination for vice chair.
I nominate Ann Pierce for vice chair.
You have to second it, Lauren.
I second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Any other nominations? All those in favor?
Aye.
And please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. Let's start with Lauren.
Lauren Ferruccio.
Carol Locke.
Ann Pierce.
Pam McLeod.
Tim Broderick.
Matt Jizokis.
John MacArthur.
Heidi Duford.
And we're starting with a presentation. What's that?
Want me to do it or do you want to do it?
Don't break it.
It's tight, but it'll look
It
good.
does look tight.
All right, so Scott and I, Mr. Bickford, well, I should introduce myself, Derek Papsino.
And Scott Bickford, Richmond teacher.
Yep, so we've been talking for a while how it's been a few years since the school's had a large community event. In the past, I was a big part of some of those events as part of the enrichment program, and I had actually spoken to my son, and I said, hey, when's the last time? He's like, what are you talking about? I was like, okay, so it's been a long time. I think COVID stopped everything. So we've been talking about it, so let's put something together. So some of this comes from an older idea I had years ago, but we thought we would bring this back. So we're hosting what we're calling the Education and Enrichment Expo. It'll be Thursday, so it's school night from 5 to 8 o'clock. So it'll be free to get into the show. We're asking for donations for End 68 Hours of Hunger. The police department have agreed to put up like their Hummer, one of the large vehicles, and the goal is to fill it that evening. In addition to food, we're thinking about other hygiene products, things that definitely some of our kids could need. Because we're looking at going into the summer, and 68 doesn't do a lot of that. So how about getting kids toothpaste, deodorant, things like that. Any type of hygiene products. So that'll be, you know, people want to make a cash donation, they can do that as well. Dinner will be $1 that night. Thank you to Hannaford, they donated 20 cases of water. So we have water for everybody, and then we're working with Mr. Cowan to get hot dog, chips, and a drink. So dinner for $1, it's a pretty good deal for an evening for some parents.
And we did find, we'll see later on, we have been communicating with a lot of different businesses throughout Lakes Region, throughout the state. And we did find someone who's gonna come set up a food truck out in the front area. Drink Positive, so they make different smoothies, some fruit smoothies, some coffees, so there'll be some other options as well besides
Yeah.
that.
So it's, I mean, dinner for $1, making it economical for all of our community members. But as well, if people aren't interested in a hot dog, they have some really healthy smoothies out there, organic. They also do some dessert type smoothies. So if people are leaving and they want to go treat themselves to like a nice dessert, they can also pay for that as well.
Another purpose of this event is to raise money, which we'll explain what that money's for. This particular group, the Drink Positive, has agreed to turn over 100% of their tips to us for the cause that we'll be getting into here.
Yep. So if we think back to the old science fairs, it was moms and dads helping build volcanoes, right? nice if you had the cool parents or baking soda vinegar. You did. I had the baking soda. So what we want to do with the expo is we want to get rid of the volcanoes. We want to get rid of the parents building things and whose parent has more materials and all that. No more standing around waiting for a prize or who's the best. We want to change that model, okay? So the theme is, it's all about me. So kids are gonna be entering stuff that is all about themselves. So showing how all our little mountaineers are enriched through different passions and things that they do. So instead of a kid creating a science experiment, we've been asking all the kids, what's your passion? You know, we also wanna step away with saying, teachers, you know, what we want you to do for the next month is do an experiment with your kids, or build something. Because, as I told the kids, not everybody likes science, not everyone wants to do that same thing. So we want kids on this evening to put forth what they're passionate about. So we have kids that might go home every day and they just love building with clay. Or maybe they're drawing, building with Legos, they all have a passion they're good at, right? We wanna recognize that.
Give them a chance to showcase something that they've had an appreciation for or passion with themselves for a long time. It could be writing, it could be working with growing plants, anything that is important to them, we want them to be able to showcase that and display that.
Yep, and it might be, you know, it might be technology as well. I'll be honest, the middle school is a little bit of a challenge, and a lot of times these events tend to be for your younger kids. We did reach out to everybody, and, you know, I was kinda joking, like, I hope you guys go home and do more than watch YouTube videos and play video games. Like, what are we doing, right? What are we proud of? What are we passionate? What is something that you might wanna do when you get older? Maybe you wanna be a musician, maybe you wanna be a computer programmer, who knows what. You know, you might wanna be a cook, a writer, painter, maybe you do like science experiments. We're not saying no to the science experiments as well. Maybe they like math, maybe they're earning badges for something that they're involved in, or another program, jewelry, whatever it may be. We don't wanna discourage kids from other passions, cause we have those kids like, oh, I love soccer. We all love soccer, so the question is, you know, what is it about soccer? Do you go home and watch, and I'm all for it, you know, I watch YouTube videos, guys show me how to juggle and do all these fake moves, so it's like, great. So, part of the show, again, we don't want kids to stand there all night. So, they will pass in their projects, their displays, and then they could leave that night and walk around, because we're gonna get to all the other fun stuff. But everyone will have a form where I go over and I see all these photographs, or I see a recipe, and there's a paper that says, hey, I'm passionate about cooking. You know, I got into cooking because my grandmother bakes with us. You know, here's one of her recipes. I get all my ingredients at Hannaford, so we can learn about what our kids are doing. How are you getting better at that passion, okay? One thing we're working on, so, you wanna do this? Or-
So we're gonna have a number of different, not to give things away, but a lot of raffle prizes for folks that are coming in. But for students that are displaying something that they love to do, we're looking to have a separate raffle drawing for them. It could be a gift card to Amazon, Target. So we're looking at some
Gift card.
special gifts, a gift
Yeah.
card, right? Special raffle prizes for them for participating with that particular part of the
Yeah.
night.
There's gonna be a big draw for lots of other reasons we're getting to, but, we don't want kids to come that night just so they can see other stuff. It's like, we wanna hear from you too. So we hope, always nice to dangle a little carrot there, entice the kids, so if we said, hey, if you submit something, you're going to do a special raffle just for you. But for everybody else, we should go back to we'll do this first, sorry. So, we'll get to the raffles. In addition to putting out the kids' projects that night, we have all this stuff going on in the building, okay? So, probably in the library here, we're gonna have wildlife encounters. So they're gonna be bringing their animals, they'll probably have scheduled times. So if kids wanna come in here and learn about animals and hang out for half an hour, they can do that. In the gym, we're gonna have Bob 319, sharing what they do at the high school with robotics. So the Alton Police will be here. On the basketball court, we have the Astronomical Society of New Hampshire with their telescopes, so solar viewing, other viewing of the night sky, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, fishing game, Lego Your Mind out of Concord. We're gonna set up a whole room of Legos with, the maglev ramp so kids can build magnetic floating cars. Wind Arrow out of Laconia is gonna bring 2 flight simulators, so if kids wanna see what it's like to try and land and take off a plane. The Aviation Museum, which is new to me, they're coming, so they're gonna be talking about interest in flight as well. We have a sculptor that we just met, He does some great stuff. Leo, who actually just got off the phone with him, he does beautiful, there's like kinetic artwork, so they're all soldered wires with marbles at moving tracks. So he's gonna be here talking to kids about his passion for art. We have a professional photographer. So the goal was to say, all right, let's get a little bit of everything. You know, we have someone who enjoys, you know, cooking or working with food, building, animals, photography, playing, so.
So the kids don't have to be just standing at their presentations, they're gonna be out doing lots of things. And some of these folks, it might be just open door, maybe Jeremy knows photographers in the classroom and folks can just kind of filter in, look at his work, you know, talk to him about what he does. While other presenters might have a couple of set times. Like Derek mentioned, the wildlife encounters could be a 20-minute segment. They might take 30 people. Someone would assist close the door. After that presentation, they leave, and there might be another, so it might be 2 or 3 different times where the kids can come in and see wildlife encounters. And one of the ideas is, while students are looking at, these are people that have had passions in their life that they've actually been able to make careers out of. And now they can have these conversations. Jeremy Noy is a good example. You know, maybe he didn't feel like math was his big subject in class, but now, as a photographer, he's using more math than he ever has. So they can also be talking to the kids about, well, you know, math is going to be important if you're interested in photography because.
Yeah.
So there's those conversations will be happening
Yeah,
as well.
we also have a musician out of Rochester who makes his own guitars. Another nice thing, when the kids enter the building that night through the front, we have a photo booth, so she'll be there for a couple hours. Every family will get a nice free 4x6 postcard with our logo on and their family, kind of like when you go in the Boston Aquarium. So everyone will get one of those that night before they leave, just a nice memento for the evening, okay? Now we can get to all the, so these are some of the things. So again, the flight simulator, telescopes, Legos, animals, a wide variety of stuff.
Okay.
So,
Questions so far? Or?
Nice.
No,
taking
great.
up your whole meeting,
Great.
Ally. We're gonna be leaving here late, sorry.
Um,
So we have over $3,000 in raffle prizes. Scott and I reached out to over 100 people, small businesses in the state, some out of state, just to say, hey, we wanna really encourage kids to come out. What can you do to help us with that? So we have literally over $3,000 in prizes. These are some of the logos from all those places. So, you know, tickets, a lot of these are like a family of 4, so a family that night who comes in, we're gonna run these are all gonna be raffle items, and the goal is that we're gonna raise money for the senior center to build them a vegetable garden. So all the proceeds, all that money is gonna go right to the senior center and, make a nice handicap accessible, so something for wheelchairs, walkers, whatever, so those folks can, do some plantings. But most of these, again, are like, tickets of 4 for a family. So that night, people can throw $1 in one of the buckets. We'll have different prices, you know, from the arm length down to 1 ticket. And some of these were very generous, like Alpine Adventures gave us a $150 gift card. Everyone wants to go zip lining. We have a lot of fun stuff, some tech stuff. This is a, Let's Roam gave me, 5?
It's about $1,000 worth from them.
Yeah, so it's an app, it's a free app where you can do a scavenger hunt with your family. And there's all these different towns all over the country. So if you're in Portsmouth, you download that and you can walk around for an hour. It tells you to take pictures and find answers. So lots of raffle prizes that night.
And with about, 7 or 8 weeks to go, we're still waiting to hear back from
Yeah,
about
I'm
60
still-
more. So
still
we're hoping to
emailing
reach $4,000 total in raffle prize.
Yeah, so hopefully, you know, we can get a nice fund going for the senior center.
We reached out to Ralph Fletcher, who's a local author, who's supposed to be a presenter. He couldn't make it, but he should be sending us an autographed book. The Loneliest Elephant is his latest
Yep.
book.
So,
Awesome. That looks
yeah,
really great,
we haven't
really
left
impressed.
anything out, but, so we've been working on this since January, and we're hoping we get, at least half the student population to come that night. We'll see,
It's
questions?
our opportunity to invite all of you.
Yeah, yes, thank you, yeah, we'd love for all of you to come and spend the night and, see all the wonderful stuff going on.
Well, we
It'll be a
appreciate
nice-
the work you put
Nice
into
community event and give kids an opportunity to share what they do maybe outside of school.
That's good.
That looks great.
All right, thank you so
Love
much.
it. Thanks so much
Fantastic.
for doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Turn that back on to you.
All right.
May 1st is the registration deadline, yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna be creating a video that I'll probably share, so it'll help answer some of the questions, because I've already gotten some questions like, my kid's standing by his desk all night. No, they're not. Do they have to stay the whole night? No, they do not.
Agenda review.
I
I
make a
ma-
motion.
oh, go ahead.
I make a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion, new items? All good?
Mhm.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Approval of the minutes from February 13th.
I make a motion, we accept the minutes from February 13th as read.
Second.
Any discussion or changes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and now we are at public input. Do we have any public input? No? Okay. All right. Seeing none, I'll close public input. Informational items, we have enrollments in your packet.
Looks pretty consistent.
Yeah, it really does. A little bit higher. And then we have financials. Heidi, do you have anything to highlight?
I'll be working the next month trying to encumber, having everybody get their purchases in for the year end so we could get a better surplus number.
Okay. Any questions on the financials? Schoolyard Action Grant.
So this is, this is a really nice thing that, one of our teachers, Courtney Levitt, drove. Derek was involved along with John and our special ed director, Pam McDonald. The Schoolyard Action Grant is an annual, grant. Average award is about $2,500, but don't look, you won't find a number in that packet because they're focusing on technical assistance this year and then developing budgets with the award recipients as they do the project. So you may have read this, you may not, but essentially in the area from the back parking lot along this side of the school over behind the administration wing part of the building, there will be gardens and a walking path. Some of it is a district match, we'll build the path. But some of it, again, through their technical support and working with students, probably with some of the enrichment teachers, these guys right here, it'll be student designed as much as possible, so it should be nice.
That's great.
Outdoor
Yeah.
space over there.
Sounded great.
Yeah, it looked great.
I was really impressed with this grant application.
Me too.
There was a
Very
lot in
detailed.
there, yeah.
Very detailed.
Do we need approval of that or just informational?
Yeah, it's just for your information.
Okay, that'll be great. It says school board, but I have superintendent's report.
Yeah, I'm embedded in everything else. I'm gonna
Okay.
keep going.
Yeah. So let's go to Matt's report.
Okay. In your packet this evening, you should have the draft copy of the professional development master plan that we've been working on in collaboration with Barnstead Elementary School. Some of the key components, obviously, as I said, it's aligned with Barnstead and Prospect Mountain High School. The focus is on developing a growth mindset, and eventually we'll do away with the counting of hours, trying to get rid of that checklist process and more about developing goals and objectives and showing growth over that period of time. Specific to professional development strategies, new to the plan will be people will have personal goals, there'll be school-level goals, and there'll also be district, system-level goals. So there'll be at least three goals every year that they can work on. They can certainly use that same goal over their personal goal if they're using it over a 3-year process, but they can also have the opportunity of adjusting that if they so choose. Our next steps will be to work with Alton Central, Barnstead, and Prospect Mountain in discussing aligning the forms and procedures, so it's all the same system. Right now, all 3 systems use Frontline to track the professional development. We're in the process of looking to align it under one system in hopes of saving money down the line. I'd like to thank Jackie Leathers, Courtney Levitt, and Sherry Shaw for their work. They did a lot of work behind the scenes in bringing this document that you see this evening. So at some point, once you approve it, then I will submit that to the state for their approval, and then this will kick in for the next school year.
I did have a question, Matt. So how does it fit in with the state's expectation of hours? Since you're saying we're eliminating the hours, but we all know when you get certified, they want hours. So how does that fit?
Yeah, so it'll go through our process, so as long as the teachers are making growth through their personal goals, their school goals, and their district goal, then when they submit that to John, and John approves that, then it'll come down to our offices, and then we'll take a second look at it. But again, as long as they're making growth on those goals and showing progress, then they'll be recertified, so.
Okay.
Yep.
At the JMA meeting the other night, we were talking about the need to have a school board member on the professional development committee,
Yep.
and probably dropping that.
Okay,
Same with the technology committee.
okay. Yep, I
So
can make
if
that
you want to make
adjustment.
that
Yep.
change, I think that'd be great. And if somebody would like to make a motion for the discussion, then we can.
I make a motion to accept the professional development master plan as presented with,
Go ahead.
with the deletion of the board member.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any more discussion? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Couple other things, a group of teachers from Alton Central, Barnstead, and Prospect Mountain attended a professional development opportunity at Plymouth State University. It was called Unconference. I brought that earlier to you guys regarding what was there. We were able to do several breakout sessions that stemmed from MTSS to having difficult conversations to building relationships. The afternoon session, had an opportunity to come together as a whole and talk about the different breakout sessions and have just open conversations. So it was really neat to be able to have all 3 schools sitting down at the table at the same time. One of the things that came out of that was a strong opinion, if you will, about developing a common mission, vision, and a set of core values for all 3 schools. And so this concept was discussed at the systems administrative team meeting, and further conversations will take place. But this certainly will align to our strategic planning process. So as we start that process, we will explore that opportunity through all of our the communities and stakeholders that go along with that. But the conversations were really rich, and really it was really cool to be part of. I hate to say it's cool, but it was really kind of neat to hear them, especially where they were all coming from different places and having that same idea of like, look, if our kids are going to the same place, we should be looking at it through the same lens. So we'll be bringing more information as we hit the strategic planning process with that. Last week, our 8th graders took the STAR assessment as part of the process for that 8th and 9th grade transition. We have the results there. We'll be sharing that with the students and the teachers as part of that piece of it. And again, that will be just another piece of data for the high school to take a look at when we look at placing students in the correct classes. The goal will be for next year to assess the then 9th graders again to see what potential growth may have happened or not happened over the summer, and then be able to use that diagnostic to pinpoint some of those deficiencies, potentially resulting in some Title I services if necessary, both in reading and math. So it went pretty smooth for the most part. So
So I had a question.
Yep.
So they've already scheduled the 8th graders for next year at Prospect. So if the star now shows that they're a different level than they have signed up for, then they plan to shift them?
They'll have
to
a conversation with the parents.
Oh,
So,
okay,
yeah,
so
yeah,
the
it won't
parents will be involved?
Yes. Yep,
Okay,
yep. And again, this is just another data point to help
Right.
us with that process. You know, if somebody feels strongly about their child being in a specific class, then they'll be in that specific class. But again, our hope is to show.
offer that data?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
Mhm.
yep,
All right,
yep.
thanks.
And then the last piece was our March 20th teacher workshop. Overall, the feedback was positive. Many of the responses spoke about having more time to discuss the curriculum and alignment and instruction. ACS and BS will have the opportunity to continue this journey. We're looking at doing some summer curriculum work before everybody heads off in July and August, so we're starting to put that together now. So more to come on that.
Thanks.
Great, thank you. I just realized what the item that said school board is, it was probably the committee assignments. So I'm gonna loop back to that. We have at ACS, I think there's a paper on the
Yeah,
table.
I have it.
So we just got rid of technology committee, budget committee, negotiations, buildings and grounds, safety and wellness, and joint loss maintenance. Aren't safety, wellness, and joint loss kind of combined?
And it's it's as needed,
Okay,
so it's really not.
okay.
Is there anything to negotiate this year?
Here? No,
Okay.
no.
So really, that's.
So
a no
everybody
point,
join that
Tim.
one.
I'll sign up for it, Tim, if you'd like. Not a problem.
I'm gonna assume that Rebecca will wanna do the budget committee again.
I'm sure she does.
I don't think she does, but okay.
And we have, well, we'll do the same thing we do at the high school, which is we can email back and forth. And just wait for my email because Lauren's not on our email system yet. We're kind of waiting for the real one to get
Okay.
stood up, so.
All right.
So I have her home address we'll use.
So once that's set up, you'll email us and then we'll respond?
Yeah, and then we can work
There's
it
not
out.
much to choose from without that.
No,
That's good.
but, you know, we could use a light year. It's been a,
It's nice.
it's been a busy
Yeah.
couple
No
of years,
complaints.
for sure.
No complaints about that part, I just.
Okay, technology updates.
So in your, under action items, you have infrastructure project. There's a handout on the table
Orange.
here, so you can wait to take action on it if you care to, but I think there's more here than just that decision that needs to be made. I'm actually gonna start on the second page, if that's okay. So what you have on the first page, and we'll talk about what it means, because otherwise it's a little hard to decipher, is a project with E-rate funding to replace all of the switches and the firewall, the wireless access points, and all the cabling, fire and Category 6E in this building. Most of the things I just mentioned are at least 10 years old in this building. The one exception is there are some wireless access points here that are relatively new. Nevertheless, we are recommending replacing them. I'll explain why. They were not purchased with federal grant funds, which means we don't have to worry about a very, very difficult disposal process. We can actually take them out and put them up for sale if anybody else wants them. We can talk more about that. I'm sure some of you will want to. I'm gonna go back to the first page now. So this project breaks down into 3 parts or 3 sections, switches and firewall, access points, and cabling. So we went out to bid. We actually got more pricing than you see here, but one of the things we're recommending is that we go with 5-year maintenance agreements for the first 2 sections of this, and that eliminated, we also got quotes on 3-year agreement terms, and the prices just weren't significantly different enough to justify the shorter term. It makes a lot more sense to do these longer term support agreements. So switching and firewalls, what we're recommending here might seem a little counterintuitive if you know this equipment really well, and if you don't, then none of this will make a lot of sense. So bear with me. But the we're recommending, just to look at it globally, using Extreme Networks wireless access points with Aruba switches. Now, Aruba switches are made by Cisco and HP, sorry, and used to be, and Meraki wireless access points are made by the same vendor. However, we use this combination of switches and access points in our other schools. So for our technicians, this makes sense. We also prefer these switches to the Extreme Networks switches. So we would like to stick with Aruba switches, but go away from Meraki access points to Extreme Networks access points. So if you followed all that, back to section 1, we have 2 E-rate supported bids for the switches and Fortinet firewall. They're very similar in price. Now, the way you read this is there's a cost of E-rate eligible products and services. You see those? They're $82,879 and $124,303. And then there's a cost of ineligible products and services. So not everything we're looking to do is eligible for E-rate reimbursement, but what is eligible for E-rate is 50% reduced. So if you take that first number, the 82 or the 124, cut that in half, then add in the second numbers, the ones that are in red, you get a total cost to the district, which at the bottom is either 62,716 or 84,674. We're recommending the higher priced option in this section because it gets us the switches that we want in this network configuration. The second section is for those wireless access points, and again, we'd like to go with the Extreme Networks access points rather than Aruba. They also happen to be the lower priced option. So we're switching from the vendor Omada over to another vendor, RTM, for this section. And then for the third section, which is the cabling, we're going strictly based on price because we don't think it matters who runs the cables particularly. So when you put it all together, these 3 recommendations highlighted in orange, we've got a total value of work to be done of just under $285,000, but E-rate is reimbursing us $116,700, almost $50 of that, leaving the total cost to the district at $168,209.48. We have an unencumbered line in the technology function of this budget, this school's budget, with $60,000 in it. So the amount we're looking to encumber from the rest of the SAU 72 unencumbered surplus at the end of the year will be $108,209.48. So that's what we're proposing. If you want to talk more about, we're looking to spend essentially $22,000 more to replace, to get the switches we prefer, I guess, rather than the lowest cost option. And if you want to talk about that, we can talk about that. And we'd like to replace these Meraki switches. And if you want to talk about that, we can do that too.
I'll just say I think it's really important to have the same switching in all 3 schools. It just, is much easier to manage. And do you know this was the first school to have Aruba equipment in it in New Hampshire?
I did not know that.
But, no, I think they're good, solid choices. And the other thing is that I don't think you can resell them, unfortunately. Been there, tried that. Maybe it's changed. But, no, I'm supportive of it.
So in the high school, it would be more of a transitional time, not all in one year?
So this is
that
how,
right?
so yeah, so the high school already has this configuration. So the high school already has Aruba switches, everyone is using Fortinet firewalls, and the high school already has Extreme Networks wireless access points.
Okay.
At the high school, it's more of a phased approach.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Because, well, actually, it's a good thing,
I mean,
because the high school has already been phasing its replacements one component at a time. the elementary schools kind of need to be done all at once because they haven't been done
Okay,
for a while. And then in time, now, look, are we all,
I'm not gonna be
are
around.
we sure what's going to be going on in 2032? Probably not. But we're trying to set this up logically
Sure,
so that replacements could be staggered in the future
okay.
to level cost for both communities. But yeah, so because of the way the high school's been extremely, there's a plan at the high school that's been very detailed for a long time. So if we were to wait until all of the switches needed to be done, some of them would be a lot older than others. There's a main switch at the high school that's very expensive to replace. It's ready to be done, so we're looking to budget that next year to be done the following summer probably. But we also, we have E-rate money there too, that we'll be able to dip into. We're planning essentially the same project that we're proposing for this school at Barnstead next year. We just don't think we can manage more than one in the same year, and this one needs to be done first.
Would anybody like to make a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the recommendations from the superintendent to do the wiring for ACS. I guess that's how you phrase it.
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
It's a lot of work, thank you. All right, that's information technology. I was struck on the technology report by the number of applications that are in use, because I recently did this count in my district, which is 10 times the size, and we have about 300 items. So 425 is quite something. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what comes next.
Yep, I do.
For those who don't know what comes next,
Oh, that's nice, yes, I do
we will
not.
be identifying redundant software. 3 programs or 4 that all do the same thing,
Sure,
getting the users together and figuring out which one of those 3 or 4 applications we're going to continue to use.
makes sense.
Crazy. All right, John.
Sure. Tim, do you want me to run and grab that after I do this?
Nope, Derek's got it.
Okay. All right, so lots of stuff at ACS this month. A lot of it's noted because it was in Matt's, and Scott and Derek, thank you for being here. Other thank yous to Krista Woodbury and Melissa Kane for organizing and ensuring another successful outreach ski program. It was fantastic again this year, and we appreciate everything they did to make it happen. Kindergarten had their mingle on the 24th. It was awesome. We had nearly 100% family participation in this. One of the beautiful things of being in pre-K-8 is for a couple of the kids that family members couldn't be there, they happened to have, just the way it lined up this year, older brother, sister, sibling that we were able to bring down, and it was a fantastic event for everybody. We had the STAR testing. Matt went over that. This week, Thursday and Friday, Schoolhouse Rock Jr. is set to be at Prospect Mountain High School. Mrs. Grasso, Miss Bebo, and the gang are also going to be doing a teaser performance actually tomorrow here at 2 o'clock. But it's going to be a great performance, and it's good to have it back and on the big stage up at the high school later this week. The 20th and the 21st, we'll be holding the kindergarten screening to prepare for next year. Also next week, we're excited for Mountaineer Madness, which is sort of a 2.0 version of Winter Carnival. It's going to happen next week, so ACS Voice is putting that on. We just talked about it and finalized at the staff meeting, and staff has got their email out. Parents will be getting it shortly with the dress-up days and then the activities for Friday before we leave for break. And then one other one that I did want to bring that's not in my report is our author visit this week actually, is Merrick Bennett. He's a comic. We had him last year virtually, and he's going to be here in person working with all grade levels. So pre-K through grade 4, they're working on, they'll be doing work based on the pillars of our ACS mission statement, a community of compassionate, critical thinkers who persevere. Grade 5 will be working on Ecosystems and Food Chains, grade 6, Ancient Civilizations, grade 7, the American Revolution, and grade 8, the Reconstruction. So it'll be a 2-day visit, and then we'll have a brief assembly this Friday to celebrate the work that the students accomplished. So look for pictures. Hopefully we'll have lots.
Thank you.
I
Any
do
questions for John? Oh,
I just wanted to say I appreciate the Facebook page, because I kind of keep up with some of these activities. It's great to see online.
Awesome.
Mingle and pictures of the little guys with their parents was great. So I just wanted to say that. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
all good?
It's good, it's great.
Okay. Buildings and grounds report. Looks pretty standard. No?
Well, no,
It's not
you're
down.
just, we're in between, a few things that you have to see at your next meeting. One is that we've engaged H.L. Turner to help Sean, with the long-term, not just boiler replacement, but HVAC plan for the whole building, because it's a little bit of a Franken building right now with 5 different boiler plants, and we wanna make sure that as we do projects, they are all driving toward one cohesive, end product. While H.L. Turner works with him on that, they are also preparing specifications so we can go out to bid for the heating repairs due to the frozen coils that we had a couple of months ago. So we did look, I think we told you that we were at least going to take a breath and take a look at changing over to a gas-fired instead of oil-fired outdoor unit. It would be really, really expensive to do that, and we don't really have the time to plan it. So instead, Sean is working with the engineers on upgraded modern unit heaters. He'll come in with all of the specs, but we've got to put that out to bid and get you a price so that we have a chance to encumber whatever we're not getting back from the insurance company, our surplus. And then third, you already accepted one of the bids to do the ESSER funded, using federal grant funds, the gymnasium HVAC project this summer. There was an alternate to that, to do the hallway and some classrooms right over here between the gym and you know where I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And we rejected it at the time because it was a lot more expensive than we were expecting. I don't know exactly whether I'll show up at the table with that in May, but if you look at your potential unencumbered surplus number in the financial report tonight, if that doesn't change significantly in the next few weeks, I might.
Okay.
Makes sense.
That's the oldest section of the building. It's
Yep.
about the worst. Yeah.
And it was, off the top of my head, it was about another $300,000 to do that, and we just thought that was, you know, it's not an unreasonable price to do the work, it was just more than we thought that we would be in a position to spend. But if we are in a position, we should at least ask you, so
Sure.
we'll figure it out.
Okay. Okay. Action items. RBT pay.
My lovely assistant has this one, I think. Yep, thank you. I can't print in this building anymore because I got a new machine, so I have to get that set up. So in the meantime, here it can print.
So Derek's your assistant? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Good to know,
I
Derek.
pointed to Scott, who's a lovely assistant, by the way.
thanks, sir.
Thank you.
So if you want to talk about how we got here, be happy to do that in non-public. But this is something we talked about earlier in the year, adding some registered behavioral technicians to staff instead of only contracting out for those services, which is what we've been doing previously this year. We are prepared to offer, to make 2 offers to RBTs. I worked with the NEA Uniserv rep for the Paraprofessionals Association to come up with a proposal. It kind of goes, the math I used goes backwards from we did a wage analysis, a regional wage analysis in the Lakes region, plus a little bit bigger than that. Most RBTs, ABAs, and BCBAs these days, most, not all, are not employed by school districts. Many are employed by agencies. So we had to figure out what these employees are earning on an annual basis and then kind of work backwards to something that made sense in the context of one of our wage scales. So if you go all the way down to the bottom, this is the existing AESPA wage scale. And then the differential for RBTs as proposed is listed here, the NEA and the AESPA, I'm gonna say it again at some point, have already signaled their agreement. So now it's up to you.
Okay.
Happy to go to non-public if you want to or need to.
So the tutors that have to maintain their teacher certification, they get $1 for teacher cert plus the $2?
They do, and right now we don't have any. Yeah.
We don't have any tutors? Okay.
Well, not under that language.
Sure,
Yeah.
but we're offering $4 per hour differential for RBT. I just didn't know if tutors should get the same, that's all. If they're teachers, they're certified, it feels like they should at least get the same as the RBT, but that's just my personal opinion.
I think that position, do you remember this from negotiations? I think that position, did it exist before COVID, or was it only during?
The tutor
Tutors?
position?
During,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we don't have any,
We don't
we're
have
not gonna plan to advertise for any? Okay,
I mean, teachers get paid like teachers
okay,
if they're teaching.
good, all right, I just
By
wanna
law.
make sure.
If a certified teacher is working as a teacher for more than 20 days, 20 consecutive days in New Hampshire, you have to pay them on teacher scale anyway.
Okay, all right, thanks. I just wanted clarification on that one. We could just eliminate that line, huh?
We could,
Okay,
next time.
Would anybody like to make a motion for the discussion?
I make a motion, we accept the 2022-2024 wage scale with RBT pay.
Great.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Technology Infrastructure
We did it.
Fund, we did it.
Thank you.
Personnel,
On the table, here's a renomination memo, which is here.
gotcha.
Yep, got it.
Looks
Make
like
a
this.
motion, oh, sorry, Tom.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let's
I
go
make-
ahead and do the resignation.
I make a motion, we accept the resignation for the 2 paraeducators.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and then,
The other one.
yep, and then we have the nominations for our certified staff. Just a reminder that if we have specific questions, we want to take that into non-public when it's about personnel. Okay. So,
I make a motion that we accept the renomination list as presented.
Second.
any discussion? Any need for a non-public?
I don't have
Everybody
any
good?
need.
No.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. A short one. We are at our second public input. Anybody like to give public input? Mr. Shea? No?
Well, you do every time, really.
I'm so predictable. I had no intention of making any public input, but I would like to welcome and express my appreciation to Ms. Ferruccio for signing up for this thankless task. Every time I go through a election, I'm more and more disappointed and alarmed by our inability to attract people to step forward. I don't know what to do about it, whether it's an internet thing or what, but we've had key positions, even in this town, where nobody even ran. So going forward, when you go out, tell everybody, please, how much fun it is to be on the board.
Carl will laugh.
And maybe we can draw some more than that. Thank you.
Thank you. I agree with you. I think it's, in a small town, everybody kind of does their part. And not only have I been on school board, but I was a budget committee widow for 4 years. My husband was chairing the budget committee. So it's very rewarding work. So Lauren will get everybody else drummed up. We'll get that younger generation of parents in. Any other public input? Okay. Seeing none, I'll close public input. Future agenda items. Strategic planning, fund balance, bids.
Do we have to approve the promotion night or not? Is that something that doesn't happen here?
No, I don't.
Like the 8th graders promoting?
Have you in the past?
I'm not
Set
calling
that
it
date?
graduation because I was told not to. It's promotion
No.
night.
We haven't, but has the date been set and announced?
Anticipating it being the day like traditionally it's the day before, which would be the 21st,
The 21st? Okay.
But that will be set up on Thursday with the team?
if not sooner.
Okay.
Okay.
Because parents are asking.
Yeah, I think we just want to get the date
And
out
then
there.
we'll be, like normal, we'll be blasting it out and everyone will know.
Sure. And then the field trip for 8th graders, not an overnight, you said?
That is my best guess at this time. I'm going to confirm it and what they're doing, because if not, we have, our team, our admin team has some other ideas too that we could do. We wanna make it special for these kids, so I think everything's gonna be set, but
Okay.
doubly sure we're gonna make it set.
Right, okay. Okay, I think we have a
You had a
non-public
brief one, sorry.
under
A,
A.
91A?
when
Yeah.
in doubt.
I make a motion to go non-public RSA 91-A:3, 2.
A.
A. Okay.
3, 2, and A, yeah.
I thought it said 2 also. I'll second that.
Okay. So we do this by roll call. Yes?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, we're now in non-public.
Thanks for your presentation, guys.
Thank you so much, that looks really great.
I appreciate it.
I hope you get a great turnout.
I think you will.
Yeah.
Parents like this type
Yeah.
of thing.
Oh, yeah, we're already talking about it.
I am.